From Revenue Rhino, I'm Brad Hammond, and this is the Lifelong Customer Podcast. Welcome to the Lifelong Customer Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Hammond, and today I have Kathleen from ProcureAbility. Kathleen, it's really nice to have you on.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to join you today, Brad. It's great to see you again.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for today's discussion. So to kick us off, can you tell me a bit about yourself as well as your company and what you guys are up to?
Sure. So I'm Kathleen Pomento. I am a wife to my husband, a mother to 2 children. I have 3 brothers. I'm a sister, an aunt to 11 nieces and nephews, and a godmother of 4. And I also serve as the Chief Marketing Officer of ProcureAbility. I love to travel. I love Pilates and snowboarding. And I also love to do what I do every day in marketing. And then,
Awesome.
yeah, so just to give you a little bit of background, Brad, on what ProcureAbility does. So we solve problems. ProcureAbility is a professional services firm, and we are focused exclusively on elevating our clients' procurement function. So that's across every industry around the world. And then we just transform clients' operations from tactical to strategic. And we also communicate procurement's strategic importance to the business.
Awesome. Very cool. How did you get into marketing? What's your story?
I did not follow a typical marketing professional track. In fact, if you had asked me when I was undergrad at Penn State, I don't think I would have even known that professional services marketing was a career option. I think often we picture marketing and think about it as marketing a tangible product. So say a Nike sneaker or a bottle of Coke. What I market every day is intellectual capital. So it's the incredible experience and expertise that the ProcureAbility team delivers to our clients on a daily basis. But what was my journey leading up to now? I would say it really was formative when my father passed away shortly after my 12th birthday. I deeply missed having his insights and his guidance during those formative years when you're entering high school and you're beginning to just start to think about what you want to do with your life. So I knew I wanted to go into business, and I was often told you could do anything with an accounting degree, that I'd always have a job. And I look back now and I think, what a terrible way to pick a major. I was just focused more on finding a job after graduation versus really considering my personality, my strengths, my creative drive. So I think my unique journey was jump-started first by figuring out what I didn't want to do before I could really find out what I did want to pursue. I remember when I was in between my junior and senior years of undergrad, and I had a 6-week audit internship. And I realized almost immediately this was not the profession for me. So I had to pivot quickly. I went into what was called dispute analysis and investigation. It was a consulting group at another Big Four. And I think it was more of a way to distance myself from accounting and in particular auditing. But it was also experience for me. I was thinking about for years potentially attending law school. So I thought working with those lawyers as well as consultants would be a nice bridge. But then I worked really long hours with consultants and corporate attorneys, and I just decided corporate law was not for me. So I ended up moving into, it was an up-and-coming group around business interruption consulting, and they brought me in as the most junior member. And while I was honing my negotiation skills, I quickly realized we were only tapping into existing clients, and we just didn't have a strong sales strategy. So from there, I really had discovered my passion for marketing, and I ended up putting myself through grad school in pursuit of a dual MBA in marketing and communications management. And I spent several months during that time just trying to get feedback and talk to marketing leaders while looking for an entry-level marketing role just to get my foot in the door. It was difficult. Without a traditional background in marketing, it was a lengthy process. There was a lot of non-responses and rejections, but I never gave up. I really knew what I wanted to do at that point professionally. And then I applied to actually the same Big Four that I was at before, Deloitte, where I had also done a student leadership program. I had been offered a full-time job after undergrad, but what I think really worked for me is that I pitched my unique experience in a way that probably intrigued my soon-to-be manager. I was marketing services. I was marketing consulting. I had actually done it as a consultant versus marketing something in which I had no experience. So I think that direct experience, being something that other marketers on the team didn't have, really helped me. And it allowed me to get my first break on my career journey by getting hired.
I love it. That's amazing.
So interestingly enough, years later, that same manager, she also helped me rejoin Deloitte by recommending me to a hiring partner to lead the
Oh,
US
wow.
investment management marketing practice. So I think it's just maybe a quick, good lesson to know that staying in touch with former friends and colleagues is so important. I think it makes, most importantly, for a richer life, just to keep those relationships throughout many stages. But of course, it's certainly helpful when you're looking for new opportunities as well.
Absolutely. That's a great thing to note. So tell me about marketing right now. What are things you're thinking about? What are things that are top of mind? Maybe initiatives, big focuses for the year, that sort of thing.
Sure. So I think to level set, I will say every single thing that we do as marketers is focused on lead gen. So full stop. That is what we do, is any of the strategic initiatives, any of the activities, any of those ways that we drive leads is so important, because that's what we're here to do. Is we're here to advance the goals of the business, to drive revenue for the firm. And we, of course, have a seamless handoff of MQLs, so those marketing qualified leads, to the sales team. And they work to continue to move these leads through multiple stages of the funnel. But with each one of these activities, I think we take a very intentional and disciplined approach to the planning, the execution, the ROI capture, so that we can determine what is working and what we may need to be, tweaking to enhance those results. We're constantly looking at that and always trying new innovative ways, and just trying to be better. So throughout that process, I would say we prioritize data-driven lead gen efforts to achieve the goals, because that's what we do. We dig into the data again to understand what's working, what's not, and what we should be pivoting on. So I think that's very important when we look at any of the top, middle, bottom of the funnel strategies that we do. So digital marketing strategies, paid ads, social media, SEO, SEM, public relations, thought leadership development, industry conferences and events, partnerships, referrals, any of those things, the ultimate goal is lead gen, and we always have our eye on that.
Absolutely. So is there anything that's working particularly well when it comes to lead gen now? Is it like, hey, we're going to a bunch of conferences, we're doing paid ads, we're maybe doing SEO? I know everything contributes, but
Sure.
is there anything that kind of has a lion's share of the results, or anything that you're seeing?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because in our business, again, it's relationships, right? Like, we are selling that intellectual capital. We're building relationships with people that, we want to help. And I think a big piece of that is being seen as a subject matter expert, an industry thought leader. So we create a lot of thought leadership. We have a number of very smart people at this company, and it's been great to tap into what they're passionate about, what they're interested in, what they're learning about at a client site, and hearing from the ground up. So we really put a lot of thought and effort into creating that content, because we want to help people, right? Like, we want people to read that and be intrigued. Maybe it's something that they've never even thought about before, or maybe it is something they're thinking about, but they're so busy in daily putting out fires that they don't have the time to dedicate it to it. So I think that's an important piece of value that we deliver to prospects as well as clients.
Absolutely. So thought leadership, is that mostly like internal experts within the company? Your articles and videos and all sorts of stuff, or how does that come together and you end up creating it?
Yeah, so it's a number of ways. Absolutely, do we tap into our internal talent? And that could be for anything from blog series, white papers, webinars, podcasts that we do with industry partners. We also sponsor content. When there's a CPO benchmarking survey, I'd love to get in on that, because it's so interesting for other CPOs to learn from their peers. They want to know what others are doing, and they want to learn from them as far as best practices. So I think it's really a combination, but I do focus on the incredible expertise that we have here at ProcureAbility.
Absolutely. I love it. So what advice would you have for other marketing leaders out there today? I know you mentioned mentorship and all that being very important to you. I would love to just hear your thoughts on all that.
Yeah, so what comes to mind, and I know I've shared that I'm very passionate about marketing with you, I would say don't just manage your team. I would say mentor and advocate for your team. So it's about letting others learn from you while being humble enough to learn from them. So to break down those two things, is when I think of mentoring, I think of helping someone grow professionally and personally. giving them that safe space and a sounding board. I'm extremely fortunate, again, that I found a career I absolutely love. And I do think there's value in experiencing that trial and error as you make your own way. But I have to think I would have progressed a little bit more quickly had someone taken me under their wing. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about marketing. And the value of mentoring, excuse me, but the value of a mentor, I believe, is it's more than just the joy of seeing someone else succeed. Like, I have seen so much progress in people that I've mentored, and just being a small part of that, I think is really fulfilling. And it's helped me to build lifelong relationships, broaden my network, and it's just been a really positive experience. I've also mentored through the Big Brother and Big Sister program. I met my little sister when she was about 13 or 14, and I helped her through the challenges of being a teenager, and we all remember those. I took her to her first Broadway play. I helped her put together her prom outfit. I guided her through the college application process. And eventually, I was able to celebrate her becoming the first college graduate in her family. And she's now a mother and an entrepreneur, and I could not be more proud. And
I love that.
yeah, and I think for advocating, it also is a really important piece of the puzzle, I think, in supporting people and lifting them up. To me, it means identifying opportunities for growth for your team members, but it also means helping them create that path forward to be able to prepare for as well as take advantage of the opportunity. And I think that's what I would say is you want to find not just a mentor, but an advocate, somebody that's going to push you to the very best in yourself. And then I think is then also willing to introduce you to business leaders, sponsor your promotion, help you to know and value your own worth. And I think providing actual feedback so that person can progress both personally and professionally is invaluable. And as an advocate, it's important to speak up for your mentee on a professional level. Use your network to help them make connections. I would say look for ways to help them expand their possibilities without taking control of the situation. One of my mentees, she was actually a member of one of my previous marketing teams. And when I joined, she had been overlooked and undervalued for far too long. And when I became her manager, I went to the mat for her to ensure that she was paid fairly and equitably. I've sponsored promotions of mentees so that their unique skills were acknowledged and valued. And I just believe that it is absolutely something that every advocate should do. And I think those are two really important things to understand and to be part of, is that mentorship and advocating. Because I really do believe that my professional achievement has been the opportunity to just be a small part in the lives of some of my mentees. It's an amazing accomplishment and sense of pride for myself. When I saw my little sister graduate, like, it was just amazing. And I think knowing that relationships are the most important aspect of life, I'm just really grateful that I could hopefully have a positive impact on the lives that I'm blessed to know throughout my own.
Absolutely. Mentorship is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. And what's one thing you wish you would have known early on in your career that you know now that you just want to highlight?
Just one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking, when I thought about this question, I think for me, and I think this, ties nicely, hopefully, into my original story of how I got where I am, but I think it's okay to not know exactly what you want to do early on. Be open-minded, creative, hardworking, lift up others, actively practice empathy. And I think always act with integrity, and you'll find your way. I think what'll end up being your own unique timetable. I think you need to do what you can to explore the world. I think you could take an art class, travel, volunteer, say yes to something, say no. I think every experience is an important part of the journey.
Absolutely. And if you could go back in time related to that question and just give your younger self a piece of advice, what would that advice be?
To say to take risks, I think, is so generic. It means something different to us all. But for me personally, it means staying in school a little bit longer and not fearing taking on more debt to spend a semester abroad during undergrad. I think it means leaving a job that was not serving me professionally or personally, even if it meant I may be asked about a shorter tenure on my resume by a future recruiter. I believe strongly in following my instincts. It's an important lesson I learned from my mother. It was a journey for me to learn to fully trust myself, but it's something that continues to serve me well. And if I could leave a little piece of advice, I would say that you really feel if something is right before something is right.
Absolutely. Any remaining words of wisdom as we wrap up here today?
Yeah, I would just say we're all human. And I think as a life spoiler alert, because of that, we are all going to fail at some point in our lives and most likely multiple times. And of course, a growth mindset, grit, resilience, all of those things help determine how fast and how well we recover. But knowing that you can fail at something you hate and choose because it was perceived as a safe choice, or you could fail while passionately pursuing your dreams. I know I have and would choose to do something I love to be able to look back without regret.
Love it. Kathleen, it's been awesome to have you on. Thanks so much for joining today and sharing your wisdom on everything.
Thanks for the opportunity, Brad. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.